Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Aram Chavez with me here today. Aram is the chairman at Morphos AI and a lecturer at ASU in the Department of Technology Entrepreneurship Management. Super cool stuff. Excited to have you here today. Welcome to the show, Aram.
Thanks, Tim, for having me.
Okay. Let's. What do you want to talk about first? Morphos or the ASU role, or some of your, and then we'll talk more about your other efforts that are dear to your heart later.
Yeah, no, well, I think first off, I just want to say thanks for having me, and they all intertwine.
Okay.
But the reality of it is, I think the real reason why I'm here on the podcast is because I've cried in my pillow, right? As an entrepreneur, you have to eat what you kill, and sometimes you don't get to eat.
You go to bed hungry.
That's right. That's right. And so I've been very fortunate to be in the entrepreneurial space for since I can remember, since I was a young kid, and now I'm very fortunate to be at Arizona State University as a faculty member, full-time faculty member, and in the technological entrepreneurship and management degree program. So essentially, what we're doing is we are teaching engineers business. So we're in the technological entrepreneurship and management degree program is housed in the Ira Fulton Schools of Engineering. So
that's awesome. They're lucky to have people with active experience in there,
Yeah, and all the faculty have tremendous industry experience, and so that I get to teach what I practice is the beautiful part. So Morphos AI is the second, we'll say, tech company that I've had. I had an exit a few years ago with a company called OpenFlow, and OpenFlow was acquired. It was really more of a digital marketing firm and had a great team. Was sad to let it go, but at the same time, I wanted to get really into AI, and so Morphos, Morphos.ai is an infrastructure company. So one of the few deep AI infrastructure companies in Arizona. And so essentially, if you think about AI, and I don't want to bore everybody, but if you think about AI, businesses want to use AI, right? And there are a number of problems. The first is that when you get an LLM to work with your data, it creates tokens, and tokens are basically how you get charged. And essentially, most of the data that is coming out of when the LLM is working with it ends up being saved, and it's 99+% noise. So we have created an algorithm that takes out that 99% noise, increases the search accuracy, and basically eliminates eliminates latency. So a fraction of the storage, which means a fraction of the cost if you're using AWS. And we are probably about 40 days from real launch. And
nice.
And so that's
exciting.
Yeah. So I've got some great team members. We have been regularly crying in our pillow, but we keep moving. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship is, how much sacrifice are you and your team willing to take? And so it's money, it's time, it's family and friends saying, what are you guys doing again? Now my family knows, so they don't really, they don't really hassle me as much anymore. But some of my team members were corporate athletes, and
Okay.
this is their first foray into entrepreneurship, and it takes time to
It's
to solve world-class problems.
right. It's
And
it's hard, it's lonely, and it can be slow.
yeah, it's never fast enough. And that's why I think I don't have any more hairs, because you run fast with your hair on fire, right? And but
Right.
it's a ton of fun. I tell my students, and I hope the audience will appreciate this, but when it comes to leadership, um, I always tell everyone, you got to get into a startup. I don't care if it's something that you're interested or not interested in. This is for the younger generation primarily, and the reason isn't so much to make your billions or whatever it is that they're desiring in life, but it's really to understand their leadership style. Like you got you with the startup, you're taking out the trash, you're the COO, you're the CEO, you're the CMO,
Right.
and you have to have a leadership, you have to learn what your leadership style is. And
Sure.
that's something that at ASU, we, when I have them creating teams outside of class for startups, they're getting real world experience, and it helps them in so many different ways. So for whatever that's worth, um, create a startup and run with it.
For sure. I agree. I agree. I'd add to that the personal accountability you learn in that
Yeah,
space,
yeah, right,
right?
right.
You report to yourself and things like
Yes,
that.
yes. And I will tell you, one other thing. I'm a really big fan of startups where you have the founders that are completely different from each other. So you might have a front wheel and a back wheel. So it's essentially the Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak model, right? Or Bill Gates, Paul Allen, and you could go all the way back to Watson and in Tesla, right? So I mean, um, it's always great to have somebody who's a back wheel and a front wheel. And it doesn't matter if you're a back wheel, you need a front wheel. It doesn't matter if you're a front wheel, you need a back wheel, right? Uh,
Okay.
so that's my space, anyways. Is
Okay. So back to the AI company for a minute. In terms of a lot of people, the theory was it was just processing power. Everyone was just throwing mass energy and chips at making AI better and faster. And then DeepSeek showed that you can make a lot of efficiencies and improvements, with in different ways. And it sounds like that's a little bit of what your angle is too, is making it a lot more efficient and faster.
Yeah, yeah, and so what I did when I got into AI is I wanted to first find out where all the money's going, and
Okay.
we knew it was going to LLMs, and we knew it was going to infrastructure. And infrastructure ranges. It ranges from we'll say Corning, that makes all the AI fiber optic, which is different than just fiber optics, and to something like Morphos, where we are making it more efficient. We are reducing the cost structure. Uh, One of the big pain points is there's a world of have and have nots when it comes to AI. So larger businesses, they can afford to hire AI developers to get their data working with an LLM. And if you think about a small business or a medium-sized business, how many of them have AI developers on staff? You
Right.
know, like none. And so what we're doing is we're building the easy button, whereby you go to our website, you click the easy button. We call that Monarch, not to be confused with our company Morphos, but we call that Monarch, and that's going to give you a vector database. It's going to allow your data to be translated into AI language, which is vectors,
Okay.
and and then it also facets, it auto facets, which is it categorizes. So it takes all of your data
Okay.
and gives you a dashboard of all of the the topics that are relevant and important to your business, even if you didn't know what they were. So auto categorizing, auto faceting so the hope here is that any business will be able to go to our website, click the link, upload their data, put it through our washing machine. We charge you per vector, and then you have data that now an LLM can work with, but at a fraction of the cost. You don't have to worry about latency. Your search accuracy goes through the roof, and now you can play and compete very much like what the internet did in the 90s, right? In late 90s, is you can now compete on a level playing field with the legacy 800-pound gorillas that are out there.
Right. Okay. In terms of cost, you mentioned that. Can you, for a layman, sort of explain the token cost
Yes.
assignments to data processing?
Yeah. So when you're using AI and you're with a business and the data with that your data with the LLM, the LLM will charge you based on, and not to get too granular here, but they charge you. It goes like this: your text is your query, right? So you type in, I want to know what my best sales objections were for this month for whatever, and just hypothetically, and then it tokenizes it and then vectorizes it, right? So the vector is somewhat the algorithm, and so they charge you by how many tokens you use in terms of, now it gives a response. And so that can get very, very expensive. And then you have that data, right? So then you've got that data that you paid for, but you have to now store it. So there's a couple layers here. The LLM is charging you for every query, we'll say. Okay. Then the next layer is, now you're like, okay, great, I got this data, and then you save that data. Well, now you have to save that data to, you can save it to your own servers if you have one, which most companies don't, or use something like AWS, and they're charging you. So they're charging you actually what you would call per vector, which is still somewhat relatable to tokens. So it gets a little messy, it gets a little complicated, but it gets expensive. And everybody wants AI to work with their data because it can give you some amazing, absolutely amazing solutions.
Insights, right?
Yeah, insights, solutions. But I have seen companies that have said, okay, we're doing it. And they have to get a vector database. They have to, all these moving parts. They have to hire somebody, or a consultant, and they're into it deep now. I mean, they got a lot of money into it. And then they got their LLM working with their data. They're happy. A month later, they see their AWS bill and they're like, I'm out. Okay. So what we did is we did a beta, and we did it with a pretty large data set. And essentially, we took about 15 million vectors. And for the audience, a vector is a multi. And this is how complicated.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds a little bit here.
Too much, but okay. But anyways, so the bottom line is we took a data set. So we'll say an organization's data, and we figured out that with AWS, it would have cost about 14 grand a year in storage. With ours, it was closer to $107.
Whoa, that's just compiling the relevant info out of the data?
Yep. And so you get we eliminated the storage. We eliminated the noise in the storage component. Right. and now your search accuracy goes up, and you've eliminated latency too. So that's the holy grail is
Okay.
if you solve for storage without compression, because everybody's doing compression nowadays, and that's the wrong way to approach it. But now, being an entrepreneur, now small businesses can hit the easy button and they get a one-stop shop at a fraction of the cost.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. That's exciting. In a day and age where these costs, as it gets more and more use, the costs are probably going to go up and up as well.
Oh yeah, and it gets even worse with LLMs. So what happens with an LLM is once let's say you query that, what are the best sales conversion, phrases that my team has been using this month or something. And so it pops up, right? Well, you save it. Then, and it creates a data set, right? Or it creates some data, so a vector, or vectors. And then you pull it up again. And you're like, okay, and you show your team and you save it. It doesn't replace like a Word doc. It doesn't replace like a Word doc does the previous document. It creates a whole new set of vectors. So you are creating exponentially, inadvertently, you are creating more data and more noise.
Right.
And all you did is query the same thing over and that's why you're getting what they call lossy, which is this lossy in the it's a somewhat of a AI kind of term, in that it means the data that's coming back is a little sus.
Okay. Sure. Sure. So yeah, a little less integrity or trust in it.
That's
So, thank you for that, Aram. That's super exciting stuff. And if you have a launch in how many days was it?
It'll be within 40 days now.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. Very cool. So, in addition to, the companies you've had and other stuff, you have some other legacy impact programs that you've been a part of. Can you share a little bit about those?
Yeah. So I have a strong passion about teaching, and also about, not I believe everybody needs to be educated, right? I don't necessarily know that everybody needs to go to university, but everybody needs to be educated. And so I also run the nonprofit uh, Tontozona. So maybe the audience knows that Arizona State football goes up to Tontozona. In fact, they're going to be up there the 5th through the 9th of August, and they'll be practicing. And they'll practice there for 5 or 6 days. And outside of that, I put on camps. And so we'll have 140 to 170 camps a year. And we take the excess revenue. They might be STEM camps, could be football, soccer, lacrosse, you name it. And
Wow.
yeah, and then we take that excess revenue and we give scholarships to underserved and underprivileged kids. And then sometimes I'll get in the bus and I'll meet kids at, foster kids or whoever it might be at Sky Song. I'll drive them up to Tontozona and we'll teach them entrepreneurship. We'll do some pitching. We'll do some Shark Tank stuff. And really just to get them out of their environment for a few days. And, we
Give them a taste, right? A little plant the seeds.
Yes, exactly. And so they're giving us, they're pitching. And you wouldn't believe how just amazing and it's usually 14 to 18-year-olds.
Okay.
And so we're just there to have a lot of fun. And luckily, so we want donations, obviously, but we're one of the few nonprofits that is self-sustaining, in that the camps that come up, they rent the camp out.
Okay.
And we generate profits in the nonprofit world. It's called excess revenue, and
Right. Which
we
you redeployed into those programs.
exactly. So
Excellent.
it's fantastic. That's one of my one of my other, and I do the teaching, and it's great. It's great fun.
Nice. What advice would you give to people who, parents, teachers, who are trying to spark that interest at that age, right? Those older teens are a tricky group.
Yes. I'll tell you, you really have to push the youth, we'll say, into a startup, any startup. And I've seen parents even create startups for the specific purpose of having their daughter or son try to run it or a piece of it.
Okay.
And it's an amazing exercise in education and in real world problems, right? And you have to negotiate sometimes with suppliers. You've got sales, you've got the website you got to create, you got to build a CRM system. And the reality of it is that you know it, entrepreneurship is not a business. Okay, entrepreneurship is an idea.
Right. A mindset.
It's a
Yeah.
mindset where you're trying to become a business, right? You're trying to get out of. So my job is to get people out of the startup as quickly as possible. And that means, and not to sound, about money, because I'm very impact oriented, but the way you get out of a startup is, fast, is you got to commercialize. and
Right.
and so for parents, I would say you got to start something with your kids, and you got to encourage them to start something. um, and they'll go through 4 or 5 startups by the time they're, if you start them at say 14, 15, 16, even 17 or 18, they should go through 4 or 5 startups that they've been a part of by the time they're 22. And
Okay.
and maybe none of them make money, but the point is that they've learned
Right.
leadership. They've learned how to solve problems. They've learned, I think this is the biggest thing. They've learned sacrifice, right?
Right. Right. That's something that's maybe not as prevalent in this day and age, right? With the instant gratification and everything that people have to do hard things to get to get somewhere.
Yes, everything I have found that, sacrifice, it really cuts your teeth on character, right? And how are you going to handle the fact that you got a sale, and now but the sale didn't come through, right? You gave a product or your service,
Right.
and somebody didn't pay, and now you got to figure out.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many problems and real world problems, and that character will help in life in general.
for sure, for sure. And that's really a big part of what entrepreneurship is solving problems, right? And
Yeah.
adding value. And with AI and other technology nowadays, it's easier than ever. It's
Yeah.
about getting them interested, mostly, I think.
Yeah. And it also pulls people away from the mindset of work smarter, not harder. I'm a professor. I'm teaching it. Everybody's smart. It's hard. You
Right.
got to put in the work. 90. I tell everyone, you'll beat 90% of the people by just being good.
Right.
At what you do. It's that last 10% that's a dogfight, and that doesn't come just because you're good or great. It comes with the hard work, and
Right.
that's
Getting
how.
out of the comfort zone.
Yes, and that's how luck is created. That's how
Right.
that's how the vulgar luck is created. Is
Right.
you gotta work hard.
Yep, yep. I think it was Richard Branson. Somebody asked him if they thought he said he thought he was lucky, and he said, "Well, sure." He said, "But about as lucky as everybody else."
Right, right.
Yeah, you just prepared to take advantage of opportunities, and you have to take action.
Yes, yes. And I will tell you this. I don't know how many of the audience out there is entrepreneur, is their own entrepreneur, but you know, you're going to work 12-hour, 14-hour days no matter where you're at. I mean, I've got friends that work at some of the big tech companies here in town. They're on salary. They don't care if it's Sunday night. I mean, they have to get something done for
Right,
Monday, Tuesday. My theory is if you're going to work 12, 14-hour days, you might as well work for yourself.
right, right. And with as we talked about, there's a lot of other advantages, and not just
Yeah.
the financial, right? Where you're working for the shareholders,
Yes.
but
Yes, there's time. You've got time to maneuver things, move things. And in this day and age, people so I've got team members on Morphos that will tell me the day before, they'll tell the team, they'll Slack everyone, hey, look, I'm going hiking from 11 to 1, having lunch after that. I'll be back online at like 3. And um, and so my team is for the most part virtual, but we'll pick up the slack, and then another team member will have said, "Hey, I'm going to dinner with the family tonight at early," and so you learn that you can have a lifestyle with a business,
right,
whereas it's difficult otherwise. The 9 to 5, it's they're monitoring your internet usage now,
right,
right?
right. And the frequency of keystrokes.
Yes, the frequency of to me, I'm like, that doesn't sound like any fun. I don't care how much money you're throwing at you. It does not sound like any fun.
Right, right. It's very um, inspiring or rewarding to be the captain of your own ship.
100%. And what I love about this generation now is success, and we're the same age, right? Success when you and I were growing up was just almost all about money. I remember
Right,
when Wall Street came out in the 80s, and it was greed is good. Greed is it was all about money, and the last probably 10, 15 years, it's success is now for many people. Sure, money is a component of it, but what other impact are we
right, right.
doing for society or
I,
for
I,
our
I hear that's a bigger factor for the millennials and stuff. They want to be doing work that means something bigger, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that bigger than themselves, and it doesn't have to be, where they're gonna be the next Jeff Bezos, right? It's I want to impact my local community, or and that's part of what Tontozona is. It's bringing kids up and having an impact on them. In fact, I can tell you that over the last 10, 11 years, Tontozona, we've what I like to believe anyways, is that we've impacted over 120,000 kids in the
Wow,
last 20 years.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And up there. And so to me, that's success. How much money have I gotten out of that? I mean, pretty much, but that's not the point. The point is that impact is success also.
Right,
And I think
right,
as entrepreneurs, you have your for profit, and you have your giving, and however you define that. But this new generation is a hybrid of both.
right, right. And we have, I mean, I volunteer in different capacities at Boy Scouts or a lot with the marching band. That season's coming up again. But just at Oak Street Assets, we have a lot more impact-focused investment opportunities, right? Trying to create attainable housing for people and stuff, clean up old, bad, unsafe neighborhoods, things like that. Is a lot more important to not just us, but more and more important to our investors who are looking for more and more of those types of projects, regardless of the returns, which is another testament to the fact that people want to make the place better, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like, the title of your show, Phoenix Prosperity, it to me, it's so it's such a great title because prosperity is one of those words that speaks to not just wealth, but
Right.
but prosperity is like an all boats rise together, right? I mean,
Right. Right.
and word. And so when I saw the title, I was like, yeah, I want to be on this
All
podcast.
right, cool. All right. Thanks, Aram. Appreciate that. So the other definition of success, which is a simple one, which I kind of like to think of sometimes, is just the freedom, right? The entrepreneurship success of being able to do what you want when you want, with who you want.
Yeah. And that's, you know, uh, you're able to move your schedule around so that, maybe it has to do with more time. I can tell you, I had a colleague that worked with me, and I kept paying her more, thinking that she was going to get work done faster, and it didn't work. And so one day I just asked her, I said, "What what's going to what can I do so that we can get
Right.
this done
Yeah,
faster?"
yeah.
She said, "Give me Fridays off. I want to spend it with my family." And I said, "Wait a minute. So you're going to get all the work done by Thursday?" She's like, "I'll get it done by Thursday." I gave her Fridays off. She had everything done by Thursday. Nothing
Nice.
dragged on to Monday. And so the freedom of time, it's so
Right.
powerful.
Yeah. As you get older, you get that becomes a higher priority, right? Control over your schedule.
Yes, yes, the control over your schedule. Because I'm going to tell you that the sacrifices in entrepreneurship are big. A lot of it has to do with social life initially. The first year is I try to tell people, look, if I'm gonna help you, and we're gonna talk about this, and I'll tell you, 99% of my mentorship with entrepreneurs is free because they don't have any money, and I've
Right.
been there, and
Right.
so and I love the fight, but I'll tell them, look, the first year, friends and family, you're gonna have to tell them I'm gonna make it up to you because I got to get this thing off the ground.
Right. There's a season of serious action, which requires some serious time.
Yeah, and so the ones that really follow it find out that later you have more time for your family.
Right.
You might be working at 11, 12, 1 in the morning because because you're
Because
able
you
to.
were able to go to the birthday party in the middle of the day on.
Exactly, exactly. But it's not 9 to 5 per se.
Right.
Later. Initially, it's 24/7. I mean, I would tell people in every startup, even with Morphos, that look, if you call at 3 in the morning, I'm probably on another call, with a team member or with a
Wow.
potential customer, and that's just the way it is.
Right.
But you
That
know,
that requires sorry,
no, go ahead.
it requires focus and self-discipline, like we were talking about before, right? You have to own it. You're in
Yeah.
charge of your own schedule, and it's the bed looks pretty comfy sometimes at 3 a.m.
Yes. Yeah. I will also tell you, you triggered something else, which is that, when you have that um, that autonomy, your happiness level goes way up. There's a thing
Right.
about happiness that they say, oh, money can't buy you happiness, but it sure does help, right? Um,
Yep.
and it does, but um, but happiness is also about, control. And and the other thing is that's exciting about entrepreneurship is, you're negotiating with VCs, with angel investors, with customers, with suppliers, with your own team, your own employees. And what I think is really amazing, and this is just an observation as a teacher, mentor, and entrepreneur, is what I'm seeing in the US in general, what I've been seeing over the last probably 15 years, started probably about 20 years ago though, but is no longer do you get a job and get paid. Somebody tells you what to do and you get paid. Now and this is the way I run all of my organizations, is you come work for me, I pay you, and you tell me what to do.
Right.
I want you to tell me I don't want to tell you what to do. I want you to tell me what to do.
Right.
And it's
Yeah,
and
sure.
that's the new, it's much more of a flat management matrix, right?
Right. Well, it's right. It's a product of not being in the information, a product of the information age, where the guy, the military too, right? I mean, 50 years ago, the general had all the information. He told everybody what
Yes.
to do. Now he's like trying to get information from the people on the
Yes.
ground so he can, deploy his wisdom and give them feedback on how to help them do their job.
Yes. And all the great ideas, they don't they're not confined to the top of
Right.
C-suite. I have found that I have learned more from the client facing
Yep.
sales reps that I have, and myself too, because I'm
Yep.
I'm into sales. I think everybody's into sales, but if you're good at what you do, the CEO of any organization, I don't care if it's a bank or a team or whatever, they're typically the ones doing the most sales, right? And
Right.
but that whole idea of the best ideas are only at the top.
Right.
What makes you competitive is up and down the ladder, everybody giving you ideas. I can tell you right now that even at ASU, if I got into the elevator with President Crow and I respectfully told him that, I think we could do this better, or I think we did, he wouldn't be, I wouldn't get fired. Another country, you might get fired. He'd say, okay, look, you thought of it, now you do it. And here's who I'm going to put you in touch with. And
Right.
so you got to be careful what you ask for too, right? But the collaborative, communicative
Right.
nature of an organization, even in an academic setting, is important. But having it in business is what I think makes the US incredibly competitive.
Okay. Excellent. Good stuff, Aram. Thank you. I'll add one little tidbit to that because I was just reminded that the word passion, right? And in our day and age, everybody talks about, find your passion, work on something you're passionate about, and like it's a pleasure, right? Like it's gonna be
Right, right,
like your passion, it's gonna be all roses, and
right.
you work at a job you like, you never work a day in your life or whatever. But the word passion means to suffer. The
Yes.
Latin root of
Right,
it.
right.
And
It
so it's
does.
what you're willing to suffer for, right? And you find that sort of focus
That's
and
so
reward.
true. So true. That's an excellent point. Yeah, passion means to suffer, and but you're suffering at something that you want to do. You're trying to build
Right.
something. You're not building somebody else's dream, right?
Right. Yep. Yep. This is great stuff, Aram. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Okay. Yeah. If people would like to connect with you or learn more about Morphos or the camps or the entrepreneurship program at ASU, what can they do?
Okay, so about ASU, you can find me on LinkedIn. Number one, Aram Aram Chavez, Chavez, and I'd be happy to direct you to anything ASU and even Morphos. Morphos is Morphos.ai, and then for the for the nonprofit, for the youth, and that is best website there is tontocreekcamp.org.
Okay.
Yeah, that's or tontozona.com, I think it is. I think we have all those, tontozona.org too. But
I might have chaperoned a middle school camp there years ago.
It's an amazing place. We're going to have 8,000+ people there in one day for the ASU football practice on August, I want to say 9th. It's gonna,
wow.
Yeah, they shut the freeway down. I would love to have people. We rent cabins too, and we have weddings, and so anyway,
nice.
It all goes to a good cause.
Nice. What's the weather there up there today?
It's 81. It's a scorcher up there. It's great, and it rained all afternoon yesterday, and it's going to rain again today, I think.
Oh boy. Well, my wife is chaperoning band camp right now with my daughter up in Prescott, and I think it's 80 and no rain, but they're outside with instruments, so rain's very bad.
Yeah, right. Well, it's better than 107, and
yeah, down here in the valley for sure. All right.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everybody for listening and watching. Thank you, Aram Chavez, for joining me today. Awesome talk. I could keep on going. Appreciate you sharing your story and insights into success and AI and tokens and vectors and all that, but also impact here in the Valley. Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing this, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, Tim.
All right. Thank you.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.